What's going on there, everyone? Well, if I didn't see it from my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it would ever have happened. Alyssa Milano and Ted Cruz had a actual face-to-face meeting, and all in all, it went very well. This should be a lesson to all of us, to everybody. When I talk to, say, someone who comments on something that's got an opposing view to mine, I always try to be very, very respectful. I don't go off and try to belittle people. I just try to give them the factual information that I know, and that's about the size of it. But civility and debate and dialogue is the only way forward. It's the only way to get anything meaningful done. That's why I'm so shocked that this happened between Alyssa Milano and Ted Cruz. We've all seen tweets of them going back and forth and her saying some pretty vile things. I mean, she is the activist left that I speak so ill of. But I have to give her credit. I have to give her credit. Ted Cruz, he's a Republican, he's a conservative. I expect this from a conservative. We are generally more willing to talk about issues with the opposition. It's not really a big deal, but for her to do this was actually pretty shocking. But let's get into the story from the Washington Examiner. Is civility dead? This is an opinion piece, but I feel it's a pretty good piece. So just a disclaimer. Is civility dead? Maybe, if you ask some people. But when differing minds escape from the confines of Twitter, you'd be surprised what can happen. This week, liberal activist and actress Alyssa Milano and Republican Senator Ted Cruz proved that civil discourse is still alive and well. I don't know if you could say and well, but I will say yes, civil discourse is still alive. It does exist. How well? We'll see. Just because one meeting went well between someone on the left and someone on the right doesn't mean you know what I'm saying. But when they met to discuss gun control, even though the meeting, which began as a challenge on Twitter, did not seem to be off to a particularly auspicious start. We can live stream the meeting so the American people can hear your BS firsthand, Milano told the senator from Texas after they began sparring over gun control on Twitter. Of course. Yeah, that's why I hate Twitter. Yes, I have a Twitter account, but I am almost never on it anymore. I can't stand it. I use Minds. Yeah, I prefer Minds and Gab and all that. Free speech reasons. But the meeting itself, however, was surprisingly cordial. The two gathered in Washington on Tuesday along with Fred Guttenberg, whose daughter was a victim of the majority Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. Date, Deadline reported. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, told actress and activist Alyssa Milano that he was a fan of Who's the Boss and Commando, while she told him that his stance on gun reform has made you almost like this caricature of a villain. Why? That's pretty sad when you're actually taking, in Ted Cruz's case, when you're taking the side of a constitutionalist and people see that as being a villain. You do got to think about the mindset that she was coming from when she first entered this situation. She saw him as a villain, not even a villain, a caricature of a villain, which is insane. Which is insane, all because we on the right choose to defend our constitutional rights with fervor. That's why this meeting was so important to me. I wanted to look you in the eye and know that you really are a human with a heartbeat, she told him. Even that statement is sad. That's a sad statement, you know? I don't. You get a little bit of the insight to the leftist brain there. The two discussed different proposals, from background checks to the prosecution of gun cases. Neither of them may have changed their mind, but they proved at least that earnest political discussion is possible. I just left. He was gracious. I'm unsure if it changes anything, but appreciative for the opportunity to bridge the divide with civil, meaningful discussion. Link to the entire meeting below. I will also be putting that link in the description. Um, uh, Ted Cruz said, "Thank you for coming and having a positive, civil, and substantive conversation. I hope it helps bridge some of the angry divides in our nation and that Congress can come together to stop violent gun crime while protecting the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens." Awesome. Melissa Milano said that was, well, I already pretty much read that. Afterward, Milano said both Republicans and Democrats want to fix the gun violence epidemic, which is true. We we on the right do understand there is an issue going on, but you know we gotta pick the actual issue that's happening. You know, we can't just. It doesn't make sense just to go after guns because guns are. You hear people on the right say it all the time. They are inanimate objects. Guns are not violent. They are just plastic and metal. But yeah, we do want to protect that. It's very important. Everything in our Constitution is there for a reason, made by people that were way smarter than most of us. But she continues. We can't solve gun violence by talking only with people who disagree with us or who agree with us. Excuse me. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to Senator Cruz, and I hope our discussion inspires Americans across the political spectrum to reach across the partisan divides in our nation. Cruz and Milano's meeting reminds us that people can still have civil debate across the aisle, and it gives us one important tip for how to make them happen. Get off Twitter. Well, yes, that may be the most sound advice from this whole thing. Get off Twitter. But I gotta say, this is awesome. That every time I see something like this, which is very rare, that someone from the activist left will actually sit down and have a fruitful conversation with anybody that disagrees with them, is a very big rarity. Doesn't happen much. You don't see progressives and whatnot wanting to debate generally because the right is, they're really good at debating. I'm pretty sure some of them, that's all they study is debate and how to debate. But this is a good thing, people. This is something that I've been saying for a long time. We need healthy debate and dialogue. And it has to come from both sides. Both sides have to be willing to sit down and hash out our differences, because that's how we get things done. That's mutually beneficial. Will anything come from this meeting? I doubt it. Honestly, I doubt anything because of this meeting will happen. I mean, but it does help educate the both of them to an extent. I'm sure Senator Cruz got some points across that are some of us on the right's big fears about the whole situation with putting more regulations on firearms. And then we pretty much already know Milano's stance, where she has been a very avid anti-gun person. I do believe she's called for the ban of the outright ban and all that, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's a very interesting situation, though, and it's awesome. It's something we should all be happy about, That's really about the size of it. So I'd love to hear your comments. And as always, like, share, and subscribe. I will catch you on the flip side.